Looks like I can't come around commenting to this topic, and I have seen some videos arguing for and against white privilege, and most of them are very American-centric. Let me provide a different approach. Let's go for the sake of the argument with the notion white privilege exists in the United States. The states have, after all, a history regarding this, and there were such laws and blacks were dragged from their homes to America and the descendants stuck there. America did a reform, but again, for the sake of the argument, let's say it didn't work. Let's go over to my turf. We also had racial laws. Best known are the laws against the Jews. We got rid of these laws, and the Jewish population does well over here regarding wealth and so on, and they also get rarely shot by police. So I would say we did it very well. We got rid of all this. Regarding dark skin, yeah, we have those too, but all of them 100% are voluntarily here. They came, or the parents came over, but all came voluntarily. We never had black slaves. Nobody was forced, and everybody could leave whenever he wants. No force applies, if they are migrated legally, of course. Still, the more wealthier part of society is not all too diverse, but this wealthy 1% that owns the world is not here in Austria, Europe. The tax landscape is not very attractive for them to be here. We tax the rich very severely. Now we have one situation where white privilege exists and one where it not exists. Let's go one step further and have a look to black privilege. Let's take Zimbabwe for that. White farmers got disopposed by the new government. You might say, yeah, that's fair. Africa to the Africans. And if you say that, you would also have to say Europe for the Europeans. Do you? But this is just a side note. So there are now places with white, non, and black privilege. So if you're a masochist, you would go where you are oppressed. And if you're sane, you go where the privilege is, isn't it? So while the stream of white Europeans who migrate from Europe to America, where there is no privilege in Europe but privilege in America, is about 85,000. And that's, ridiculous. So it seems the whites in Europe don't go where the privilege is. And what about the blacks who go from the oppressed United States to the privileged states? How many Americans went to Zimbabwe last year? Well, I couldn't find any figures for that, but I think it's fair to assume it's not a lot. Although I know alone in New York are about 100,000 Zimbabwe Americans. That's kind of strange. Okay, you might say, yeah, this is because these white devil companies are exploiting Africa. Yeah, then shut them out. You have the African Union, build it up, build a wall and shut the whites out. No products in, no products out. Borders are your friends. If Africa stands together, it would be very, very, very hard to act against them, especially as a company. Post hoc erga propter hoc. That means roughly, it came afterwards, so it's because of it. As an example, I farted in the morning and the sun did set. Ergo, my fart caused the sun to set. Or, the whites are rich, so somebody has to be poor, and the blacks are poor, and so this is linked. The blacks in Africa are richer than they were before the colonization, and the oh so oppressed blacks in America are better off than the privileged skin brothers in Africa. If they weren't, they would go over there. The whole idea of white shame is religious. It's the original sin all over again. We call it Erbsünde, inherited sin, which fits even better. It's a marketing gag, it's a belief system. It's like the marketing gag that a certain Austrian energy drink gives you wings. It doesn't, but it sounds cool and it sells the product. The whole idea is to sell a product, and the product is a bigger state, which is exactly what this rich 1% wants, because they are in charge. Divide and conquer is a good idea if you try to conquer the world, but refusing the parts is a good idea if you succeeded and want to govern it. The 1% won. They have the world. They use the left now to fuse their conquered chunks together. White privilege, Black Lives Matters, that's neo-racism, and it's cultivated by the same ones who fostered racism all over history, the elite. If you fight under this flag, you fight on the side of the 1%.